What is going on, Bucs fans and CFP fans? Evan Wanish here, back at you with another video talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And today we're going to be discussing the Buccaneers with the most to prove in 2024. Now, you can name a lot of this football team, right? It seems like they have a chip on their shoulder. It seems like they're tired of seeing the Atlanta Falcons be picked to win this division this year. So they want to prove that, hey, yeah, they've won the division the last 3 years for a reason, right? They want to go out and prove that. So really, you could put the whole team on here. But I did want to highlight about 3 to 4 players, and I did write an article about this on BucsNation.com. So if you'd like to go and read that, it is available right now on BucsNation.com. But without further ado, let's get right into it. The first name on this list is going to be quarterback Baker Mayfield. Now, I did this same exact list for Bucs Nation last year, and probably to nobody's surprise, Baker Mayfield was also on that list last year. He had a lot to prove, and he did prove it. He did. They took a gamble on him with a 1-year deal. It was basically his last shot to start in the NFL, pretty much. And he turned that into a Pro Bowl selection and a 3-year, $100 million contract. Well, the 3-year, $100 million contract is the reason I think there's actually a lot of pressure on him this year, and he has something to prove. Consistency has been an issue throughout Baker Mayfield's career, and I think having a consistent year this year would prove a lot of the doubters wrong. There still is a lot of people who don't necessarily believe that Baker Mayfield can be a guy to lead a team to a Super Bowl or an NFC title game, or even consistently win football games in the NFL. I know injuries have been an issue for him, but consistency has also been a problem. So, look, if he flamed out last year, the Buccaneers only gave him a 1-year deal. It would have been easy to move on. Now there's a much more of a commitment from the Buccaneers side of things to Baker Mayfield to be their quarterback. With that, they're going to be expecting more out of Baker Mayfield. So I do think Mayfield, in a way, has something to prove in 2024. He has to prove that 2023 was not a fluke. It wasn't just a good year and that's it. He has to prove that this is who he's going to be, even with a brand new offensive coordinator, which he's dealt with that throughout his career as well. That's been a problem for his career, which is out of his control, but it is what it is. He has to prove that this is who he is, and he's a guy that the Bucs can rely upon to win football games. So Baker Mayfield is on this list. Another offensive player that has a little bit to do with money and stuff is Chris Godwin, and it's Chris Godwin because he's a free agent after this season. He's entering a contract year. He will be 29 by the time free agency rolls around. He's 28 right now for the season, but by the time free agency rolls around, he'll be 29 years old. Probably looking at the last big contract he's gonna get, most likely. So I think he wants to have a big year and cash in, whether it's in Tampa Bay or elsewhere. He definitely wants to have a big year. So he has a lot to prove. He's going to be moving back to the slot a good bit in Liam Cohen's new offense. So there's going to be more opportunities for him there. He was really good the last time he was in the slot, specifically with Bruce Arians. He was really good when he was more of a slot player. And I think a big year could mean big dollar signs for Chris Godwin. So I think he has a lot to prove that he can be a wide receiver one. He still is a premier wide receiver in this league. So he's proven that to the Buccaneers to say, hey, pay me to keep me, or he's proven it to the other 31 teams that, hey, I'm about to be available to you, right, in March. So come and pay me, basically. So I think Chris Godwin has a lot to prove in that sense as well. So he's a guy on here that I think could be due for a pretty big year. I know Rhett on our season prediction show, which you can go catch that right now. We predicted every single Buccaneers game from start to finish, week 1 to week 17, or week 18, I should say, all 17 games. And Rhett actually picked Chris Godwin to be his offensive MVP for this season. And I think one of the reasons is because it's in a contract year. You're going to get a motivated Chris Godwin. So I do think he's a player to watch as a guy who not necessarily needs to prove himself, but I think could really use a big year in order to, one, solidify himself, and two, make himself a good bit of money. The two next ones are more so obvious, okay? Number one's KJ Britt. We're going to go over to the defensive side of things. We're going to talk about KJ Britt right now, and this one goes without saying, KJ Britt is now in a much larger role now that Devin White has departed for the Philadelphia Eagles. KJ Britt is now basically your starter opposite Levante David. He was that starter for a little bit last year, but it wasn't a full season. He wasn't asked to do a lot of those things. He didn't have the same responsibilities that he's going to have this coming season. So KJ Britt even started both playoff games for the Buccaneers and fared well in those playoff games. However, it's just different when you're being asked over a 17-game season to be a starter, to be a leader on the defense. And having Levante David there is going to help. Having Levante David next to him is going to help him immensely. But again, KJ Britt, I think, needs to prove that he can be a starter in the NFL, that he can be a starting caliber middle linebacker. So he's going to have plenty of opportunities to do so this coming season. And the last one, and maybe honestly, when you think of players with stuff to prove or players that need a big year, I think a lot of Bucs fans are going to think of this name, and it's cornerback Zyon McCollum. Zyon McCollum, just like KJ Britt, sort of, with Carlton Davis now on the Detroit Lions, Zyon McCollum is going to step into a much larger role now. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays because he's an important piece for the Buccaneers defense. You're talking about your number 2 corner, basically, opposite Jamel Dean. And in today's NFL, corners are so important. And if you have a bad corner, especially when it's a starter and teams can just pick on that guy all day long, it's going to be a tough time for your defense. It really is. With the amount of receiving talent that the NFL has nowadays, a lot of teams have a lot of talent at wide receiver. So it's not something that's going to be easy for the Buccaneers if McCollum doesn't prove himself. And I think just like Britt, does he need to go out there and be outstanding? No, I don't think so. And I don't think those should be the expectations. But I do think he needs to prove that he can be an NFL caliber player. Like he can be an NFL caliber starter where you look at KJ Britt, you look at Zyon McCollum and you go, okay, these guys are starters on a football team. Like they can start for you. And you will be okay. It's not like they're both burnt toast, right? And oh my God, the sky is falling because both these guys are going to be playing so many snaps and they're going to be playing such large roles for you. No, I think the ideal goal, I mean, obviously, if they both become great players, that's fantastic. But I think what you want to see out of them is, can they be starters in the NFL? And that's why I think they're both setting out to prove this coming season. But let me know what you guys think. Do you have any players that you think have a lot to prove in 2024? Like I said, I could have gone on and listed probably 5 or 6 more guys and maybe a bunch more. This team, they read the press clippings, right? They see that a lot of the national media is high on the Atlanta Falcons. They had a big splashy offseason, right? So, the Falcons are obviously going to win the NFC South, this and that. And the Buccaneers feel a little bit disrespected by that, probably. So I'm sure there's a lot of players on this team that feel they have a lot to prove. Not really to themselves, because I think they know what they can do, but to prove to others, to prove to the outsiders that they are still who they are. And that is the reigning defending NFC South champions. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about the players that I mentioned. Like I said, if you do want to read this, a little bit more information on the Bucs Nation article, you can head over to bucsnation.com right now and check out that article. I would greatly appreciate it. But thank you all for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and go Bucs.